Welcome back to the Appliance Repair Academy. In this lesson, we replaced the thermal fuse on a Samsung front-load electric dryer model DVE45R6100C using part DC47-00018. The thermal fuse is a one-shot safety device. When the dryer overheats, the fuse opens permanently and cuts power to the motor or the heater depending on the wiring. A blown thermal fuse is the #1 cause of a dryer that runs but produces no heat, or a dryer that will not start at all. By the end of this lesson, you will safely access the fuse, confirm it is the failure point, install the new part, address the root cause, and verify the repair.
Gather your tools before you begin. You will need a #2 Phillips screwdriver, a 1/4-inch nut driver, a digital multimeter with continuity, needle nose pliers, safety glasses, and cut-resistant gloves. Have a plug tag ready and a clean drop cloth for the back panel screws. Safety is non-negotiable. This dryer runs on 240 volts, but it is still a cord and plug appliance. Unplug it before you touch any internal component. Never service a dryer that is hot. Let the cabinet cool for at least 30 minutes after the last cycle.
Recognize the symptoms of a failed thermal fuse. Symptom 1. The dryer drum turns and the timer counts down, but the air is cold and clothes come out wet. Symptom 2. The dryer starts a cycle, heats for a few minutes, then suddenly stops or cools off. Symptom 3. The dryer will not start at all when you press start. A Samsung control board may show an info code, such as HE or HC, related to heater errors. These symptoms point at the thermal fuse, the thermal cutoff, or the heating element. Today, we focus on the thermal fuse because it is the most common single point of failure.
Before you ever replace a thermal fuse, find out why it blew. The thermal fuse rarely fails on its own. It almost always trips because the dryer overheated, and the dryer overheated because air could not escape. Pull the lint screen and clean it thoroughly. Check the dryer vent duct from the back of the cabinet all the way to the outside wall hood. Look for crushed flexible duct, lint packed inside, and bird's nests at the exterior cap. If you install a new thermal fuse without clearing the vent restriction, the new fuse will blow within days. Always clean the vent path first.
Disconnect power. This electric dryer runs on 240 volts through a NEMA 14-30 plug. Cord and plug lockout-tagout applies. Pull the dryer forward about 2 feet to expose the back. Reach behind, grip the plug body, and pull it straight out of the wall receptacle. Keep the plug in your sight and within your control for the entire repair, or apply a plug tag so no one can re-energize the dryer while you work inside it. This satisfies OSHA 29 CFR 1910.147. Do not probe a live receptacle.
Position the dryer so you have full access to the back panel. Lay a moving blanket on the floor behind the dryer to protect the cabinet and to catch dropped screws. You will need at least 2 feet of clearance behind the unit. If the dryer is stacked on a washer, do not attempt to service it stacked. Have a helper unstack the dryer first and place it on the floor. Working on a stacked dryer is unsafe and you cannot properly access the back panel.
Disconnect the vent duct from the back of the dryer. Most installations use a worm gear clamp around 4-inch flexible foil duct or rigid metal pipe. Loosen the clamp screw with a 1/4-inch nut driver and slide the duct off the dryer exhaust collar. If the connection uses metal foil tape, peel the tape away cleanly. Set the duct aside. Now is also a good moment to vacuum any lint at the exhaust collar opening before it falls inside the cabinet.
Remove the back panel screws. The back panel on this Samsung dryer is held by approximately 10 #2 Phillips screws spaced around the outer edge. Start at the top corners and work your way around.
Place every screw into a magnetic tray or small parts cup. Do not mix the screws with any other fasteners. Some perimeter screws may be slightly different lengths. If a screw resists, do not strip it. Apply firm downward pressure on the driver and rotate slowly.
Lift the back panel off the cabinet. With all perimeter screws removed, the back panel lifts straight up and away. Be careful, the lower edge may be hooked into a lip on the base pan. Tilt the top out first, then lift up. Set the panel aside flat on the floor so it does not warp. You now have a clear view of the heater housing on the lower left, the blower housing on the lower right, the motor below the blower, and the drive belt wrapped around the drum.
Locate the thermal fuse. On this Samsung DVE45R6100C, the thermal fuse is mounted on the side of the blower housing on the lower right of the dryer. It is a small white ceramic rectangle about 1.5 inches long, with 2 push-on female spade terminals on one face and a single Phillips mounting screw through the body. The thermal fuse should not be confused with the cycling thermostat near it. The fuse has only 2 terminals, and the body is plain white ceramic with no temperature stamp other than the fuse rating.
Photograph the wire orientation before you disconnect anything. Use your phone to take a clear picture of the 2 wires going into the thermal fuse, showing the wire colors and which terminal each one is on. On most Samsung dryers, the 2 leads are interchangeable, but documenting orientation costs nothing and saves time on reassembly. Save the photo before you proceed.
Disconnect the 2 wire leads. Grip each female spade terminal at its insulated boot with needle nose pliers. Pull the terminal straight off the fuse blade. Never pull the wire itself. Pulling the wire stretches the crimp and creates a high resistance joint that will overheat in service. If a terminal is corroded or melted, replace it with a new high-temperature porcelain piggyback terminal before you reassemble.
Remove the single mounting screw. With the leads disconnected, remove the Phillips screw that holds the thermal fuse against the blower housing. The fuse will pull free of its bracket. Keep the screw with the original fuse so you do not lose it. Inspect the blower housing where the fuse mounted. The contact surface should be clean and dry. If you see lint buildup here, the vent path is restricted, which was confirmed in Step 4. Compare the old fuse to the new DC47-00018A. Place the 2 side by side. The body shape, mounting hole position, and the spade terminal orientation must match exactly. Check the part number stamped or printed on the ceramic body. If your replacement does not match, stop and verify the part number against the manufacturer parts diagram for your serial number. Installing the wrong fuse can cause it to trip at the wrong temperature or fail to trip at all. Inspect for the 3 common failure signatures. Failure 1. The fuse is electrically open, but the body looks fine. This is the classic case caused by gradual vent restriction. Failure 2. The ceramic body is cracked or chipped. Heat cycling has fractured the housing. Failure 3. The terminals are discolored, black, or melted. The wire connections were loose and arced under load. In all 3 cases, the fix is the same. Replace the fuse, address the root cause, and inspect the rest of the heat path. Bench test the old fuse to confirm the diagnosis. Set your multimeter to the continuity beep range or to the lowest ohm scale. Touch 1 probe to each spade terminal of the fuse. A healthy thermal fuse reads near 0 ohms and beeps. A blown thermal fuse reads OL, meaning open line with no beep. If the old fuse reads good and the dryer still has no heat, the fault is somewhere else. Check the high limit thermostat, the thermal cutoff, and the heating element next. The thermal fuse cannot be reset, only replaced. Install the new thermal fuse. Orient the new DC47-00018A so the spade terminals point the same direction as the original. Set the fuse against the blower housing with the mounting hole aligned. Hand start the Phillips screw to avoid cross-threading. Tighten until the fuse is firmly seated against the housing, but do not over-torque. The ceramic body will crack if you over-tighten. Reconnect the two wire leads. Push each female spade terminal fully onto the blade of the fuse. You should feel a positive click as the detent engages. After both are on, give each wire a light tug at the boot to confirm it is fully seated and will not work loose under vibration. Route the wires away from the heater housing and clip them into any factory wire retainers so they cannot fall against hot surfaces. Reinstall the back panel. Hook the lower lip into the base pan first, then tilt the panel up flush against the cabinet. Hand start every perimeter screw before you tighten any one of them. This prevents misalignment of the screw holes. Once all roughly 10 screws are started, tighten them in a cross pattern, working from the center out to the corners. Do not overdrive the screws into the thin sheet metal.
Reconnect the vent duct. Slide the duct fully over the dryer exhaust collar. Position the worm gear clamp around the joint and tighten the screw with the 1/4 inch nut driver until the duct is snug against the collar, but not crushed. Avoid sharp 90-degree bends in the duct. A smooth, gentle curve preserves airflow and prevents lint accumulation. Inspect the full duct run one more time before you push the dryer back into place.
Plug the dryer back in and run a test cycle. Restore power by inserting the NEMA 14-30 plug fully into the receptacle. Power on the dryer. Select a timed dry cycle on high heat for 10 minutes and press Start. Within 60 to 90 seconds, place your hand near the exhaust at the back of the dryer. You should feel strong, warm airflow. After 3 minutes, the exhaust should feel hot. If the dryer heats steadily through the full cycle without tripping, the repair is verified. Remind the customer to clean the lint screen after every load and to have the dryer vent cleaned at least once a year. For further study, consult these references: the Samsung DVE45R6100C Use and Care Guide and Service Tech Sheet from the Samsung Support website, OSHA 29 CFR 1910.147 for lockout-tagout standards, NFPA 70E for electrical safety in the workplace, NFPA 211 for chimney, fireplace, vent, and solid fuel-burning appliances, which includes guidance on clothes dryer venting, NEC Article 210 for branch circuit requirements on dryer receptacles. Thank you for training with the Appliance Repair Academy.